fundamentally racist. Let's say, would you say the building of settlements in the Gaza Strip, and it's also in the West Bank, right?
It's actually now only in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. In 2005, the Israeli government removed all the settlements from Gaza. Right. And Israel supporters will often cite that as a token goodwill gesture and say, look what happened when we removed all our illegal settlers from Gaza. They just turned the place into a training camp for Hamas, and they fired more rockets at us. Now the point that they won't make is that all those illegal settlers that were removed from Gaza and put into the West Bank.
Right.
So they were just moved from one part of occupied Palestine to another, which is a magician's conjuring trick.
Yeah, it's like a sleight of hand.
Yeah, it's a sleight of hand, because Palestine is Palestine, but the drive is to separate the entities, and they've already achieved it by having different governments and different factions in control of Gaza, and Hamas in Gaza and Fatah in the West Bank. That perhaps is a failure of the Palestinians as much as it is an advantage to the Israelis to have differing factions in different parts of the country.
Right, so thanks for that. So what I was saying is, to work on that is, would you say that the building of settlements there and the way that they are established is one of the primary points of contention in the whole region?
Yeah.
And extreme.
Yes, and it's a war crime. Transplanting your population into war-won land is a war crime. I see. It's wrong. It was wrong when the Turkish did it in northern Cyprus, and the Greek Cypriots actually won a court case that could be analogous to the Palestine situation, and a lot of whether Muslim or Christian doesn't matter, a lot of Greek Cypriots stand with Palestinians because they've had a similar crime committed against them. And when Bob the Builder asked me, and do you think that it's wrong for Turkish occupiers in northern Cyprus to put their citizens into that land? I said yes, it is wrong. So just to be clear, whether Muslims or Christians are doing it, against it.
Okay, great. That's great. Consistency and non-moral ambiguity. That's why I like.
Try to have that.
Insane. Yeah. All right, cool. Anyway, so cool. So with that, let's say you're saying it's a war crime. It's a major point of contention. I agree. What would you say? How would you take this situation if you knew somebody that actively worked to promote that and was an advocate of it in numerous forms? Maybe you could say, an advocate, somebody that's justifying the situation.
I would say that they are justifying a crime, justifying something that is wrong, and I see where we're going with this.
I know. It's not very veiled.
It's alright. Set me up to it.
Subtlety's not exactly my strong point.
I'd be a hypocrite to ever shake their hand. Oh wait, Joseph is like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, and I disagree with Joseph on that. Sorry to name him or make it personal, but I see that he's been brought up in that tradition. That is his bias, and I respect the fact that he believes in it. We disagree.
Is respect the right word? I mean, from my perspective, it can't be, but obviously you can say whatever you like. But is it?
In his mind, it will be justified. In mine, it's not.
But could you also say that of the Nazis, bro?
Yeah, and I think. I mean, Nazi is a term that's thrown around as if to say, but it's a good example, because a Nazi, that's the scum of the earth. But there were Nazis that changed their ways. There would be people that did it because they were following orders. People who did it because they were indoctrinated. Sure. I don't think we're not naturally evil. There are always people that have changed their mind. Okay. And on the spectrum of Zionists, I think Joseph is on the more agreeable end of the spectrum. I don't think he would call for the expulsion of people living on the land, and he says
just the continuing encroachment upon it. so that eventually there will be no
Well,
land.
this is, I mean, and this is the problem. It's a slow, gradual process that achieves the same result
So it's the
as
same
a
thing?
rapid. Essentially, down the line, yes, it
Right.
is.
Tough times.
It is, yes, it.
Because I talked to him once, and that was the conversation, more or less, and I was very perplexed by his insistence that he's working towards peace when he's also endorsing that, because it's a direct paradox.
I agree, and that would be.
You have to have cognitive dissonance to think otherwise,
Yeah.
or think that one side is superior to the other by birth, right?
Yes.
That's also there.
Yes, and I believe that at the root of the problem is the idea
Humans are
that
crazy, man.
one people have a superior divine right or genetic right to the land at the expense of the other.
Right.
And to expand upon that further, if you are saying that any Jewish person born anywhere in the world can go and live in occupied East Jerusalem tomorrow, but people who fled there in 1967 or prior to that in 1948 cannot, just because they are a different race, and it is racial rather than religious, because they regard themselves as part of, or as some people call it, a people. They're not a religion, they're not a race, they're a people. But it's in group, out group, and you can't you can't live there unless you're part of that
Right.
group.
So it's fundamentally racist. Interesting.